I'm Nancy Showalter, and you're listening to Spirituality for the Politically Incorrect podcast. Welcome, all radical paradigm shifters and creative change makers. You who dare to create a better life and a better world. Tap into the power that resides within you and use that power for constructive change. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode, What is Your Color? A look at the 7 major color rays. Our episode today is all about energy, color, and vibrational frequencies of color, and what they mean for you in your everyday life. The spiritual or the heaven world is very diverse, and that diversity is also reflected here in our physical world. Now, I'm not talking about race or ethnicity or even how diversity is defined in our society today, but rather spiritual frequencies that are manifest in our physical world. Frequencies that manifest as color and qualities of the divine and are outpictured in our lives and society. So, what is your color? What color frequency do you primarily vibrate and major on? Let's take a look at the 7 major color rays, some of their qualities, and the master that presides over each ray. These 7 rays are blue, yellow, pink, white, green, purple, and gold, and violet. Now, the first 3 rays of blue, yellow, and pink of power, wisdom, and love are the 3 primary colors, and these 3 make up the threefold flame that is anchored in your heart from your I Am presence. If you're unfamiliar with the threefold flame, you can check out episodes 3 and 4. Now, balancing these 3 rays is one of the prerequisites for permanently reuniting with your I Am presence in the ritual of the ascension. And to determine which ray you are primarily on, listen to their qualities and how they manifest as ways of thinking, being, and even the professions we choose. And I will give you a mantra that you can use with each ray. And remember, these mantras are not vain repetitions, but are invoking your I Am presence, God within you, to create the condition that you are decreeing. This is an important distinction to always remember. So let's begin. The first ray, frequency of power, vibrates blue. The energy frequency of protection and power, divine will, and faith. This color corresponds to your throat chakra, or energy center. And what I mean by power is that it's the right use of energy to create in your life that which corresponds to your unique purpose, divine will, and to rightfully use the power of your spoken words and the power of this first ray energy. People who have the blue ray as their primary energy are usually strong in their convictions and have a great personal power to fulfill their goals and make things happen. They many times gravitate to leadership positions in both small and large ways. The power of this ray needs to be balanced with the next 2 rays of yellow and pink. When out of balance, or when that energy is misused, you can have everything from mild criticism to outright brutality. In society, the blue color ray manifests as governments, business, communication, commerce, and banking. The master for this ray is the Ascended Master El Morya. Some of his previous incarnations include Abraham, Akbar the Great, Sir Thomas More, and his final embodiment as a Rajput prince in India who later became a monk known as Master M, and who was also one of the co-founders of the Theosophical Society with the purpose of acquainting the world with spiritual law. El Morya ascended in 1898, and he continues his work for God government on the earth through his students. The mantra you can use to be in alignment with this frequency as you visualize and feel it is, I am sealed and protected in the power of divine will, and I am perfectly aligned with my divine presence. So just see that blue fire of God's power in, through, and around you as protection and alignment with divine will, and feel the security of this divine protection as I repeat the mantra and you mentally affirm it. I am sealed and protected in the power of divine will, and I am perfectly aligned with my divine purpose. I am sealed and protected in the power of divine will, and I am perfectly aligned with my divine purpose. The second ray frequency of wisdom is yellow, and it is the frequency of the intelligence of the universe manifesting as illumination, self-awareness and enlightenment, knowledge, information, and education. It corresponds to your crown chakra, right at the top of your head. Those who vibrate primarily with this ray tend to gravitate to the teaching professions in various capacities. When this ray is predominant but not balanced with the blue and pink rays, you'll often find an intellectual that has trouble relating to his or her feelings, or someone who studies a lot, has a lot of theories, but doesn't really experience much. So again, balancing the power, wisdom, and love of the first three rays is very important. This ray includes educational institutions, learning at all levels, and teachers in all areas. Folks who have the yellow ray as their primary energy are usually in some type of teaching profession. The master for this ray is Lanto. Some of his embodiments include the Duke of Chao in China, also known as the Yellow Emperor, and later as a ruler in China during the time of Confucius. But throughout the 19th and 20th centuries, he has supported the efforts of Saint Germain to liberate mankind through Saint Germain's release of the Ascended Master teachings on the I Am Presence and the Violet Fire, which I'll be talking about more when we get to the seventh ray. The mantra for the second ray of wisdom is, I am divine intelligence, wisdom, and resourcefulness that creates my ideal life and enlightens the world. So visualize a golden halo of light around your crown chakra at the top of your head, with the light of divine illumination emanating to the world. And visualize and feel what is the perfect life for you as I repeat the mantra and you affirm it. I am divine intelligence, wisdom, and resourcefulness that creates my ideal life and enlightens the world. I am divine intelligence, wisdom, and resourcefulness that creates my ideal life and enlightens the world. It's always important that you feel and visualize, imagine in your mind's eye these mantras. So we move on to the third ray. That is the frequency of love, and it vibrates a vibrant pink, which has the qualities of divine love, selflessness, harmony, beauty, loveliness, comfort, and grace, and all forms of creativity. It includes artists, sculptors, cultural leaders, designers, dancers, all kinds of creative activities, and it corresponds to your heart chakra. The master of this ray is Paul the Venetian, who was embodied in the days of Atlantis in the government as the head of cultural affairs. He also embodied in the Incan Empire as an artist who developed paints that did not fade. He was embodied also in Egypt as a master architect and worked with the building of the pyramids. His final embodiment as Paolo Veronese, one of the major artists of the 16th century Venetian school. The mantra for the third ray of love is, I am divine love and I create harmony, beauty, and loveliness wherever I go. So just tune into that heart. Again, visualize a pink light emanating from your heart and feel the energies of love, beauty, and loveliness as I repeat the mantra and you affirm it mentally. I am divine love, and I create harmony, beauty, and loveliness wherever I go. I am divine love, and I create harmony, beauty, and loveliness wherever I go. These three color rays, blue, yellow, and pink, again represent the threefold flame in the heart of power, wisdom, and love. The blending of these colors in various intensities produce the remaining colors. So we move to the fourth ray. The fourth ray is the ray of the ascension, and it's white. And there's actually debate whether white and black are actually colors. Physicists say that white is a color because it's a combination of all colors, whereas black is the absence of color. So in this respect, white is the combination of all the colors, and it's actually the base frequency of every one of these colors. The qualities of the white ray are purity and perfection, self-discipline, hope, joy, spiritual oneness, and wholeness. This is the ray of the ascension, that permanent reunion with the I Am Presence. It is the ray of law and order, architecture and design, mathematics, and your own divine blueprint. It corresponds to the base of the spine chakra, which when completely purified, vibrates the white light of the divine feminine. Serapis Bey is the master of the fourth ray. He's known as the great disciplinarian. He was incarnated as a priest in the Ascension Temple on Atlantis, later in Egypt, and other times throughout the land of the Nile, and he was the architect of the Great Pyramid. He also incarnated as the Egyptian pharaoh Amenhotep III, who was considered to be the greatest ruler on earth. His greatest construction, however, was the Temple of Luxor, which is partially intact today in Egypt. And he also incarnated as the Spartan king Leonidas. It's said that when in the presence of Serapis Bey, one knows an entirely different conception of what we call the Christ, the real person of us all. The mantra for the fourth ray of the ascension is, I am the pure, radiant light of the divine feminine, manifesting divine consciousness and ascending unto God. So visualize and feel that mother light rising to your heart chakra. See and feel the power of this bright light as a noonday sun emanating from your heart and filling your entire aura. I am the pure, radiant light of the divine feminine, manifesting divine consciousness and ascending unto God. I am the pure, radiant light of the divine feminine, manifesting divine consciousness and ascending unto God. Moving on to the fifth ray of healing and truth, which vibrates green. It's the truth, abundance, healing, and manifestation, bringing things from spirit into the physical. Qualities include constancy, concentration, open-mindedness, and precipitation. It corresponds to the third eye chakra, which is the spiritual center, the spiritual eye in your forehead located between your physical eyes. Now, green is abundant in nature. Now, people on this ray are in the healing arts, music and mathematics, laws of cosmic harmony and harmony in nature, and harmony in your own being. Hilarion is the master of the fifth ray. His embodiments include a high priest of the Temple of Truth on Atlantis, Saul of Tarsus, who became the Apostle Paul, and his final incarnation was as Hilarion, who was a great healer. The mantra of the fifth ray of healing and truth is, I am healthy, whole, and manifesting God's abundance. See yourself surrounded in this green fire of perfect health and happiness and abundance. And feel what this feels like to be whole and have every blessing from the universe pouring out to you. I am healthy, whole, and manifesting God's abundance. I am healthy, whole, and manifesting God's abundance. The sixth ray of peace, ministration, and service is purple and gold. The qualities are selfless service and ministering to life, your service to life in any area, and it's also peace and brotherhood. This ray corresponds to the solar plexus chakra just below the navel. Those serving on this ray are usually in service type professions, such as nurses, caregivers, ministers, any kind of service in your work or service in your family. The master of the sixth ray is the Lady Master Nada. On Atlantis, she worked in the healing arts and served as a priestess in the Temple of Love. In her final incarnation, approximately 2,700 years ago, she was the youngest of a large family of exceptionally gifted children. And she chose to forego her own career and devoted her life to deep meditation and prayer for her brothers and sisters in their various careers. As an ascended master, she assists ministers, missionaries, teachers, healers, psychologists, counselors at law, and public servants, and all those who are involved in serving others. The mantra for the sixth ray of peace, ministration, and service is, I am a ministering servant. I am compassionate. I am understanding. I am patient. I am loving. Visualize yourself standing in the purple fire with flecks of gold and feel your heart expanding in love and service to all life. I am a ministering servant. I am compassionate. I am understanding. I am patient. I am loving. I am a ministering servant. I am compassionate. I am understanding. I am patient. I am loving. The seventh ray vibrates as violet, the shortest frequency on the physical spectrum of colors. Its qualities are freedom, justice, liberty, tolerance, mercy, and forgiveness. It is the science of alchemy, transmutation, and transcendence. The violet fire frees energy. This is the ray of diplomats, spiritual alchemists, actors, writers, patriots, and defenders of freedom. Saint Germain is the master of the seventh ray. He's the hierarch for the incoming Aquarian age, which is the age of freedom, and it's meant to be a golden age. Over 5,000 years ago, he was ruler of a golden age civilization in a country where the Sahara Desert is now. He was also a high priest of the Violet Flame Temple on Atlantis. Later embodiments include the prophet Samuel, Saint Joseph, the father of Jesus, Roger Bacon, Christopher Columbus, and Francis Bacon. Following his ascension, he was granted a special dispensation to return to earth in a physical body. He appeared as the Count of Saint Germain, known as a miraculous gentleman who dazzled the courts of the 18th and 19th century Europe. They called him the Wonder Man of Europe. He was an alchemist, and he was known for removing flaws in diamonds and other precious stones. He could also compose a letter with one hand while simultaneously composing poetry with the other hand. He was a scholar, a linguist, a poet, a musician, artist, and diplomat, admired throughout the courts of Europe. He had all these skills and impressive things. Voltaire called him the man who never dies and who knows everything. He would never age. They would see him years later and he never aged because he was an ascended master who was granted that dispensation to come to earth in a physical body. He is mentioned in the letters of Frederick the Great, Voltaire, Horace Walpole, and Casanova, as well as the newspapers of the day. Part of his effort in Europe was to effect a smooth transition from a monarchy to a representative government and prevent the bloodshed of the French Revolution. But his counsel was ignored. In a final attempt to unite Europe, he backed Napoleon, but Napoleon misused the master's power to his own demise. Now keep in mind, man has free will, and the ascended masters never interfere with our free will choices, even when they're faulty or destructive. They give guidance, assistance, when someone is open to their guidance and assistance. In addition to trying to help Europe, Saint Germain turned his attention to the New World, and he became the sponsoring master of the United States of America and of the first president, George Washington, keeping in mind that even in Europe, he was trying to move them from a monarchy to representative government. Saint Germain inspired the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. There's a story of when the founders were wanting to sign the Declaration of Independence, but they were kind of hesitating due to what it might mean for them, possible death. There was a voice in the chamber that said, "Sign that document," which was said to be Saint Germain. He also inspired many of the technological advances of the 20th century to help liberate us from much of the drudgery of daily life, so that we could devote ourselves more to the pursuit of God realization and the spiritual path. Early in the 1930s, he contacted Guy Ballard, who used the pen name of Godfrey Ray King, and who recorded Saint Germain's teachings on the I Am Presence and the Violet Flame, a spiritual technology that up until that time was only known to those devotees who were dedicated to meditation and learned of the violet flame in meditation. It had not been revealed to the world at large until this time, and the publication of his teachings by Guy Ballard, who is a messenger and an amanuensis for Saint Germain, in the books Unveiled Mysteries, The Magic Presence, and the I Am Discourses. These are very fascinating and enlightening reads. As mentioned already, Saint Germain has a special interest in the United States, and I will be covering more in upcoming episodes on the divine sponsorship and destiny of the United States. The mantra of the seventh ray is, "I am the violet flame, victorious and free, one with my divine source for all eternity." Visualize this violet fire, which actually is a pink blue, more than a deep purple. And visualize this surrounding up through and around your body, just as actual spiritual frequency energy flames. And feel, "I am the violet flame, victorious and free, one with my divine source for all eternity. I am the violet flame, victorious and free, one with my divine source for all eternity." The seventh ray of freedom corresponds to the seat of the soul chakra, which is above the base of the spine and just below the solar plexus. If you want to learn more about the masters and about their spiritual retreats, which is another whole topic that we'll cover in the future, you can find comprehensive information in the book The Masters and Their Retreats by Mark Prophet and Elizabeth Clare Prophet, Messengers and Amanuenses for the Ascended Masters. And you can attune to these various masters for assistance with the areas that they major in. In reality, our spiritual ascension requires a certain level of mastery on each of these seven rays, even though we may be more aligned with one ray as a dominant, or even two rays. Our various incarnations give us the opportunity to be in different cultures, genders, races, etc. We're required to master all aspects of the physical realm and balance at least 51% of any negative karma we may have occurred, and fulfill our divine plan and balance that threefold flame to make our ascension. Now, just from this simple description of the seven rays, you can see how the diversity of God manifests in the various roles we play on earth, sometimes greater and lesser roles that afford us the opportunity to grow spiritually, balance karma, and create massive good karma through our service and contributions in whatever area we are serving in. Now, beginning with the next episode and for a series, I'll be discussing from a spiritual perspective some of the current issues we're facing as individuals and as societies. Some of these perspectives will very likely be politically incorrect in this current cycle of political correctness. Nevertheless, it's important that we rise above these divisions and look at the issues we're facing from a higher spiritual perspective. So join me and some of the guests I'll have during this series. Until then, keep an open mind, a generous heart, and a powerful spirit. I'm Nancy Showalter, and you've been listening to Spirituality for the Politically Incorrect. Thank you for being with me today, and if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe on iTunes. And to follow more of my work, visit me at nancyshowalter.com.